Hello, listeners. Welcome to our English program podcast, Kaleidoscope. Listeners, in our today's program, we have an interesting personality in our studio. Her name is Sailee Gangakhedkar. She's from Pune. She's a risk consultant, a chartered accountant by profession. And currently, she holds a senior position in the consultancy field in an MNC. And she has achieved spectacular success by completing the Ironman competition in 13 hours and 23 minutes, which was held in Barcelona, Spain. As you are aware, Ironman is a world event consisting of swimming 3.8 kilometers, cycling 180 kilometers, and running 42.2 kilometers for a total of 226 kilometers. Sailee was preparing for this event for the last 2 years. In 2022, she completed half of the Ironman event in Kazakhstan. Earlier this year, she completed the Comrade Ultra Marathon in South Africa. Sailee is the only woman from India to complete the Ironman competition in the age group of 40 to 44 this year. She was the only Indian in top 200 female finishers at the Barcelona Ironman. Her timing was amongst top 3 of the Indian female in the Ironman race history. So listeners, in this first part of the interview with Sailee Gangakhedkar, we will focus on her fitness journey, about how she was into fitness and sports in childhood and how then again in her late 30s she got into fitness. So this part is meant to be a motivation for people of all age groups about how they can start their fitness journey at any stage of their life. So let us chat more about this with Sailee. So Sailee, firstly, welcome to our Akashvani studio.
Thank you so much, Gaurav. Yes. It's a pleasure and thank you so much for inviting me.
So Sailee, I know that I could never compete in an Ironman triathlon. I don't have the drive or the motivation to do so. But do you feel that there is a particular personality that is drawn to the Ironman triathlon? And if so, how does your personality fit into that model?
So, Gaurav, I don't think there is a particular personality or pattern, but any individual who has the drive and to try something challenging, something which is very exciting, and they want to come out of their comfort zone and try something new. Mm-hmm. So triathlon is a sport for each and every such person. I mean, irrespective of their background, irrespective of their age, and irrespective of where they are located, every person can try this sport. Mm-hmm. And me particularly, I have always been fascinated and interested in sports and fitness. And triathlon being such a challenging and worldwide famous event, I was always wanting to wanting to try it, and it had to be done some day or the other.
Right. Very interesting. When did you first become interested in these activities as sports? Like, because all of us know some amount of running, cycling, or even swimming for that matter, some of the people. So when did you perceive them as sports that you want to take up?
So, Gaurav, around 2015-16, when I just started with my running activities, that time actually fitness again came back to my life after a long gap. And
were you a fitness freak as a kid?
Yes, I was always into fitness. So I have a fitness background as such. Okay. Because in my childhood days, my parents had enrolled me for swimming. And I'm very thankful and grateful to them for having instilled those fitness, the importance of fitness in my life in that age. Right. So been into swimming during all my school days and some competitive level of swimming at local competitions as well. So it was very much part and parcel of my life during my childhood days, but there had been a long gap after that.
Okay. That is the case like with everyone, right?
Yes. So like you get busy with your career, other priorities of life, your education, your career, your marriage, your family, etc. So been a long gap after that, almost 20 years, I would say. But yes, I mean, since fitness and fitness activities have always interested me, I am quite passionate about them. I always had that at the back of my mind that I have to get back to it someday in life, once I'm done with my priorities in life. So that's how I started running initially, then eventually started little bit of cycling. Cycling is quite famous in Pune. Many people, like cycling. We have a good weather and good roads in Pune. So a few years I was into cycling, and swimming was always, my childhood sport.
Yes.
Although there was a long gap,
Oh.
but I guess few things you never forget.
Right.
So swimming was always easy.
So they say swimming is a skill which you can't forget. Even
Yes.
cycling is a skill which you can't forget.
Correct,
You can
right.
get back to it anytime that you want.
Correct. So in a way, the basics of all three sports were quite easy to just attempt for me.
Yes.
But yes, triathlon as an event, when I heard about it, I heard about the distances and the long duration it would take. It was quite challenging and looked or sounded very difficult.
Right.
But then I thought, it's possible. It's not that it's not possible.
Okay.
It's just about being aware about what kind of training you would need, what kind of food you would need to build in your daily diet,
Okay.
and then just start with the journey. So that's how the journey started.
Okay. So like in 2015, you suddenly decided that, I'm settled.
Yes.
So let me start my fitness journey again. So this can be an inspiration for everyone in their 30s to start up their fitness journey. So in 2015, then you decided that you want to take up fitness again, and then you started running first, is it? Which was the
Yes.
first sports that you were
Right.
interested
So running was a sport which is very, like I said, it's easy to do it
Right.
on your own. You don't really have to have a particular time commitment for it. And even a 20-minute run is a good fitness activity for any individual. And it's a good activity for, keeping your health well.
Right.
And reducing your weight. So I was quite overweight after my maternity break in 2011. And 2-3 years I did not get time at all to come out of that hectic and busy routine. My son was very small. I
Parenting
did not
is
have
hard.
yes,
Stuff.
right.
Yeah.
So late nights and early mornings, office whole day, his daycare, his other activities.
Plus you're working, right?
I was working. So managing everything, juggling everything was, of course, very difficult. And it took a toll on my health, and I just started gaining weight. Rather, I did not reduce the weight which I had put on already. So when my son was around 3 years old, he was little bit, better off in terms of, continuously taking care of him. And then some support I did get from my family also when he was little bit older. So then I was like, this is high time now, I have to start and get back to
Was there any
a good
moment
health.
that this was like this thought sunk in? Because like many people
Yes.
start their health journey when there is a health scare or something. So
Yeah,
was that the
so
case?
not a health scare as such, but yeah, the heavy weight was very scary.
yeah.
To look at yourself, with such high weight. I wouldn't say very high, but 80 kilos, 75 kilos is also very high for me.
Right.
And of course, you would never nobody likes to look at yourself that way. So look is
Especially
just
when
one
you had
part.
a fitness journey from like childhood.
And I think look is just one part of it, but at the back of your mind, you're always worried that you're going to get some kind of health problems because of this. So you keep on hearing about health issues after 40, and then it's a wake up call that you don't need to wait until that happens. You have to start on time, and that's how I just started. Whatever sport. So swimming was my main sport, but swimming wasn't possible. So I was like, running is possible even late at night. So I used to get time only late at night after all my activities during the day are done.
Okay.
My son has almost gone to bed, and there was a small club near my house which was running late until 10 o'clock. So that's how I started, even if just 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever time I get, I will go and run there for some time, at least 3 times a day, 3 times a week.
So you were running on a treadmill or?
It's a ground. I started running on a ground.
Okay.
So there was a fitness health club. There is a fitness health club near my area, Deccan Gymkhana,
Okay.
where there is a proper cricket ground and there is a track, so you can run on it. And there are floodlights right until 10 p.m. at night. So it's a safe place to run.
Right.
So that's how I started, because I was not able to go in the morning.
So then after running, like it motivated you to go into further sports?
Yes.
Like you started with swimming again?
No. So I think for a few years, around 2015 to 19 almost, I think I continued only with running. So I
Okay, so
wasn't
you
doing it.
participated marathons or anything?
So I started gradually in 2015. I think I did my first marathon for 5 kilometers, probably just.
Oh.
Then I eventually, gradually increased the distance to 10 kilometers, then a half marathon. So up till half marathon, I was doing up until I think 2018.
Okay.
So and not like entirely all throughout the year also. So typically marathon season starts around October after the monsoon season, and it continues until February in Pune or in Maharashtra area. So that's a good season, considered to be a good season. So during that time I used to train, probably not during the other months as such, but at least during those 4-5 months I started running regularly, and office was always hectic. So I also took up table tennis during those days actually. So that was a new activity which I started at the age of 35 because I wanted to start some team kind of an activity always.
Right.
Running was on my own always. Of course, I mean, running was...
It's lonely, right?
It's
Running.
lonely, but it's meditative. It's
yeah.
completely like, your me time,
Positive,
and
yes.
you have that positive energy and you feel absolutely, it feels amazing actually to run alone also.
Yeah.
That is a sport which you can do alone, like swimming. It's something which...
Like there is this term now people use, runservations.
Okay.
So like the conversing while running with yourself or with someone, with your running partner.
Right. That's true. So I think until 2018, I used to just do these 5, 10 or 21 kilometer running activities. So 2019 was somewhere I, took it up seriously as such.
Okay.
That, now I have to maybe, look at the next level of doing a full marathon. And
Right.
one important thing I would like to mention that Pune is, you must be aware, Pune city is completely, fitness freak city, and we have so many running associations, groups, and organizations which are planning marathons on a continuous basis. So Pune is one of the best city where that importance is given to fitness actually, and people do wake up early and do their fitness first, and then they start their other work life, etc.
Even in parks, like you find people jogging.
Right.
Not just clubs, but even in parks, like it's crowded, like super
Exactly.
crowded, especially this winter season.
And like they say, I mean, Pune is the best city for having a work life, because of probably it's less crowded than Bombay, but still has that kind of, work life kind of a balance is there. So I would say that also, creates a kind of an awareness continuously that, my friend is doing, those people are doing. So looking at them, you always feel that even I can try. So that helped definitely. So being around people who are into fitness, and maybe in those days Facebook and all had picked up a lot, so you keep on seeing stories and posts of people doing such things, and then you get inspired. So I would say that social media also I have used always positively. So for such motivation and inspiration, that you get that awareness that such an event is happening, let us try and do this event. So that way I also thought that let's try a full marathon, and I was pretty good at running. I had picked it up quite well. So 2019 I decided I'll do a full marathon for 2020 Tata Mumbai Marathon, which is a very famous marathon which happens in India.
Full
And
marathon is like how many kilometers?
It's 42.2 kilometers.
Wow. So half you had already done.
Half
This
I had
was the
already
first
done. Yeah.
Full marathon.
This was going to be the first one. And then I joined a group called Running Potential.
Okay.
There was a coach who used to guide us about running. So that is the first time I started running in a structured or a methodical manner, that, what kind of running or pattern needs to be followed to improve your pace, improve your, HR. HR is the heart rate, which is typically monitored while running, because you should not be running at a very high HR. It would affect your health again unnecessarily. So, the way you run, what kind of steps you should put. So there are very minor things like, you should probably, shouldn't put the heel first, or you should put your toe first, that way. So these small things,
All
what kind of
techniques,
strides you should take. what kind of breathing pattern you should follow. So very small things which matter and can improve your running, and you can run at a better pace but not get so tired as well. So all those things I actually learned in that year.
So it no longer remained a hobby. It went
Yes,
further than
that time
yeah.
actually it became a serious sport for me. That, and somehow I was so interested and passionate about it that even with my hectic schedule, I used to make it a point that I start. And by that time, I'd started. I think for weekends at least, I started running in the morning, and then for some time I used to go at night. So that still continued. So 2019, I would say, was my first serious attempt to have a full marathon, at least train for a full marathon and attempt it.
So how was that experience? Like
That
you were
was
able
good.
to complete it without any
Yeah,
hurdles?
so no, hurdles were of course there. So training went well, majority training went well. And only thing which I missed in during those days was strength training. So I was running for many years, not regularly, but on and off. This was the first year when I trained regularly for almost 6-7 months. But I missed on the strength training part. And somewhere that is very important for your running or any kind of fitness journey, because you have to have your muscles strong. You can't just keep on loading them by the running workload. So your strength training is very, very important. Like your diet, your strength training is equally important. That is something which I missed that time. And because of that, I got some injuries then. My knee was hurting and there was some muscle injury which then I had to treat for and take some rehab and tried to come out of it. But I think I got into this injury very late when the race was very near. So I just got some 2-3 weeks in between. So with some last minute kind of remediation, I tried attempting the race, but I wasn't able to do it as well. But I still managed to complete it in 5 hours, which is also pretty good for the first time, for a first time.
Sailee, I had this another question. Like you said, you were overweight and then you started running. So like there are a lot of myths, like you're overweight and you suddenly start running.
Yeah.
So all the pressure is on your knees. So was that your experience, or how did you manage it? Like
yes, I mean to some extent it is true. So like I said, if I would have started the strength training along with the running, it would have been definitely been better.
Right.
That is a mistake I would say I made, because of which I keep on getting into injuries. I mean, even now it's much better now, of course, but I used to get into injuries very quickly because of that reason, probably, that I was not doing the strength training along with that. So maybe your strength training or your little bit weight reduction with other activities like gym or even body weight activities, yoga can help. And it would not add so much pressure on your knees then, because with running also you reduce weight, that is there, but these other activities would help strengthen you, and then you would get less pressure on your knees or any other body muscles.
so muscle training is very important with
Yes,
cardio.
it is important. At least twice a week, thrice a week if possible. An individual should have a strength training activity done.
And you also started with sports, so that was interesting. Like table tennis is really interesting game.
Yes, absolutely interesting and very, very addictive. And it's a team game, so very exciting to play with everybody. And I learned it pretty late, but fortunately there was a coach who was ready to coach me at that age, and a few other people like me. So we had a small group of people, and was very interesting to play with them. And table tennis game itself is like interesting, so it was an interesting experience as well.
An important takeaway from this conversation is like till now is that you start it like a hobby and then you go into it like professionally, and then you also take training for it. Like even table tennis, like if it was someone else, like you would have just played with his friend, but you actually trained for it. So that is really interesting. So that is there something in your like DNA?
Yeah.
like, is that the part of like becoming a CA, that process?
Probably. I mean, I don't know, but I have a habit of taking things a bit seriously, I guess. I mean, at least those things which I'm interested in.
Right.
So, for example, I'm not so interested in cooking. So, I would not really anything learning into cooking or, take it that seriously. But if it comes to sport and if I'm able to do it pretty decently, then I want to know it, the best of it, and would like to learn it in a more structured manner and in a scientific kind of a way, like you say. So the correct rules and whatever rules are required to be followed for it, whatever pattern is required to be followed for it, I would like to learn it. So that has always been in my mind, that you should learn something from a learned coach so that you know the right and correct things. It helps you. One, it gives you a lot of confidence that you're learning something scientific and correct, and that's why it would improve your performance automatically.
So now you went to a full marathon. You successfully completed it.
Yes.
You also injured yourself in that journey.
Yes.
Then you overcome that. So did it somewhere stop you? Like, why am I doing at that stage?
No, never.
Yes.
So I'm a fighter, I would say, and I don't like giving up so easily. I've applied it in my life everywhere. So I think that I must have picked up in my childhood days when I've done swimming for so many years. And, being a sports person, you have those traits, like you don't give up so easily. You are a fighter and you will keep on fighting until the end. And you enjoy doing it. I mean, it's very natural for a sports person. So even if injuries were there, you find a solution to it, that what can be done to overcome it. So strength training was the solution, which I got to know. So I started working on it. And it was not a very difficult solution. So, I mean, it was just a matter of giving some time to it and taking care about it, and then you're good to go. So
while running marathon or preparing for it, was triathlon in your mind that you have to go for it, or that journey started after that?
Not really. Yes, my triathlon journey started completely after that. So after 2020 January marathon, COVID happened. So there was again a big gap as such. But again, running activity is such that you could do it on the roads when, we were allowed to at least go on the roads in our area. So the running again, I started after a gap of those 2 to 3 months. I was recovered also by then. So I also picked up cycling during those days because of COVID. Everyone got, a lot of time to stay at home and many people took up to cycling in those days.
Yes, yeah.
So even I started some cycling along with the running because of the injury, and the thing was I was not allowed to load my legs a lot. So people suggested you can do cycling for.
You knew cycling?
I knew cycling, so I had a cycle. I had a small hybrid kind of a cycle, which I used to bike at I think on weekends sometimes. But it was a complete hobby kind of an activity again. But after COVID, I think I took it up more seriously, and along with running, I started doing bike every weekend probably. So that's when I took up bike a little bit seriously again, that bike also can be done, and it gives lesser injuries, and probably can try some bike. So we have some bike events also in Pune. So that are also started picking up. So somewhere I had that plan that let's see, we can try some bike maybe for some time rather than running. So that's how bike also started. And then I think during 2021 there was a small triathlon event which was happening around Panchet. So one group organization, they had planned a trial kind of a triathlon. It was not a race event, but it was very small distance also, called an Olympic triathlon. So which is 1/4 of the full Ironman, actually 1/4 distance of full Ironman. And I just went for that event to just try to see whether I was able to do. So swimming was something which again was, I had a long gap and had not got back to it. So for that event, I think I tried some swimming sessions after many, many years. So, but of course, it was very easy to get back to swimming. In a few sessions, I was able to probably, swim like 500 meters to 1,000 meters. So of course, it was I was getting tired, and it was quite exhaustive. But then I realized that, if I do this regularly, at least once a week, then it's possible. So then again, doing 3 activities every week is again not manageable, because I used to have weekends during that time or a few mornings. But then you split it up, twice a week. 2 activities every week you do, and then 1 day break. So that way the triathlon journey somewhere started, I would say that.
So we have talked about your journey till now, like physically, mentally, and how you have prepared for small events of marathons. But nutrition and food is one of the highlights of any athlete or anyone who is starting their fitness journey. Also, I'll say one step ahead, sleep is also a very important part. Like, how do you follow a nutrition or your diet? How have you done it till now?
So I think when I started the fitness journey in 2014-15, that time only I realized the importance of nutrition as well.
Okay.
So one good thing happened that along with the fitness journey, my nutrition journey, rather a healthy diet journey also started at that time.
great.
So like I mentioned, I always have a very hectic kind of a work life, and I always had a support at home for my food arrangement as such. So
Okay.
I made good use of it. So, fruits was something which was I always used to like. So I started having 2 to 3 fruits every day. I started reducing, the other more carbohydrate based food. Started having food every 2 hours. So that helped me reduce weight during that time a lot, along with my running. So I think almost 6 to 7 kilos I just reduced by improving the timings of my food. So I used to have very late night because of my son and, his sleeping pattern, etc. My food habits or other the timings had gone all haywire. I used to have food at some 9:30 at night and, long gaps. And then that was actually contributing more to it. So my metabolism improved with this 2 hour kind of pattern. It helped me. And because I was at office, I used to request my maid. I had told her to prepare, like 14, 15 dabbas I used to carry in my office. So starting from my breakfast, 11 o'clock, some kind of a fruit, some dry fruits, then a proper lunch, including buttermilk, including even papad, some kind of a variation in it. Nice. Then 4 o'clock again, some sprouts or some fruits, and then having food early for dinner. So I started having food at some 7 o'clock or something. And in those days, since my son was very small, I had to pick him. I used to leave office also on time. I had to pick him up from daycare and bring him home, then his dinner, etc. So I started having food with him. Just having food on time improved my metabolism. I reduced some 6-7 kilos with just that. And then making smaller changes in the food was pretty easy. And adding more of protein, reducing the calories like I mentioned. That I started something very recently in last 2-3 years to improve the performance. Or when I started triathlons, etc. I switched from chapati to bhakri. I added more of salad in my diet. And then sometimes a whey protein supplement help we need to take for longer distance events and all. So those I have during my event. So like
it's important
weakness,
for recovery, right?
It is important for recovery. So as per the guidance I receive from my physio sometimes or my coach, I do make those changes, but not on a regular basis otherwise. So those are the kind of changes I have made in my diet since the last many years. And now my metabolism is quite good. Even if I have some kind of junk food, as we call, during the off event time, then also it doesn't really matter so much. And of course now my body or my brain has got used to the fact that you have to eat good. That is the best way for having a healthy life. So that's important. Sleep is something very important, and I would say I'm not the best at it because of my very hectic schedule. I don't manage to get. You should have 7 hours of sleep completely ideally, and every hour of training which you do, you should have that hours of sleep. That is the ideal guidance, which I'm not able to have. So that is something I need to improve on. So like I said, it's a journey and you keep on improving. There's something to learn and improve always. So this is the most important aspect I personally need to improve on myself.
Some good advices there. Thank you. Everyone I think will
Most
benefit from it.
Yes.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
So listeners, on this note, we will end our first part, which was basically focused on Sailee Gangakhedkar's fitness journey until now. In our next part, we will be focused more on her experience at Ironman competition held in Barcelona, Spain. So do tune in for the next part, which will be exciting. Until then, thanks for listening and please stay tuned as our next program follows.